Live only on DAZN, he silenced Britain's best, Usyk the Brit Breaker, but now the dynamite is ready to explode. One night, one shot at Undisputed, Usyk versus Dubois 2, July 19th, right now at DAZN.com/boxing.
So ahead of Dubois versus Usyk this Saturday on the undercard, and you know, as undercards for big fights, in particular the Undisputed Heavyweight Championship of the World, it's not like an undercard we had, say, on Saturday night for Ring Magazine 3. It's not going to be like an undercard for Ring Magazine 4, which I believe is coming up in November. It's not a terrible undercard. There's one fight on there, apart from the main event, obviously, that really intrigues me. And it really intrigues me because I guess in some ways, I still see this guy as a bit of a strange one, certainly when it comes to heavyweight. Lawrence Okolie. So Lawrence Okolie at Cruiserweight, there was times it was very good to watch Lawrence Okolie, but there was also other times where it was very bad to watch Lawrence Okolie. You're looking at David Light, Mikhail Seslak, that wasn't a great fight. Isaac Chamberlain, I mean, the Matty Askin fight was just, that was like, Lawrence Okolie deducted 3 points for various fouls. I mean, it should have really been a DQ. It was horrific. It was abysmal, that performance. So you have those performances. And if I didn't already mention CBS, that was a horrible fight as well. So, and he was deducted lots of points in that fight for holding as well. So you look at those performances and you kind of are like, you know, I don't really want to be watching this guy too much in the nicest way. It just, not fun. Not fun to watch. And clinch fest, it just wasn't good for the most part. Then he moves up, he takes a year out of the ring, moves up to Bridgerweight, so packs on 24 pounds, 223 pounds against Lucas Rozansky, who, again, undefeated, didn't really know how good he was. I mean, he beat Alan Babbage, for God's sakes. I mean, beating Alan Babbage is, and he's not fought since then, Lucas Rozansky, nor has Alan Babbage since that first round knockout defeat to Johnny Fisher in 36 seconds. There you go. But he looked a lot more aggressive. He just looked a lot more rejuvenated in that fight. And then announces that he signed with Frank Warren. Makes his heavyweight debut and weighs 260 pounds on that heavyweight debut. I mean, yikes. It was an interesting debut because he still has that bounce in his legs like a cruiserweight, which is like you're a 260 pound man in the nicest way. You don't want to be doing that. You really don't want to be doing that. But he fought again, a heavyweight who is Hassan Mohammed, who, I mean, he's not fought since Okolie. He lost to Zan Kosabutsky. He was knocked out by him in 3 rounds. And like literally he had a no contest with Senad Gashi. He actually beat Gashi, I think it says here, and he actually got that fight overturned due to a violation. You know what? There's literally no names on his resume. And it was okay, you know, Lawrence Okolie showing his power, but against a very limited opponent, very, very limited. Then it was announced that he would fight Richard Riakporn. Now that fight at Cruiserweight actually kind of did appeal to me, because he was one guy at Cruiserweight you felt maybe had enough power to bother Okolie. I don't think you need much power to bother Okolie, saying that. And also I felt like he may be able to match him physically. So they're meant to have that fight in April. Lawrence Okolie pulled out for whatever reason. It never got rescheduled, which is strange because you think it would be a natural, easy fight to make. Instead, he's had 7 months basically out of the ring. And now he's in there against Kevin Arena, who is a tricky old operator. He is. He's 33 years old, the KO Kid. He needs to change that nickname because he's 15 knockout wins in 31 fights. Well, actually 34 fights. So I think I would be changing that name if I were you. The KO Occasionally Kid, maybe. Maybe that's a better one. But he's coming in off the back of a win in South Africa. Guy was 11-7. You can't really read anything into that. Lost to Justice Uni on points. The 96-94 scorecards, they're pretty accurate. It was a dull. It had its moments. Did have its moments, to be fair. But yeah, for the most part, it was just meh. But yeah, Justice Uni didn't look good in that fight. That was on the undercard of AJ Ngannou. Beat Senad Gashi. But Senad Gashi is no great shakes, to be fair. That famous, beat Riyad Mahrez, who is a tricky hombre, to say the least. He's a tricky customer. Very lightweight he's weighing in for these fights. Like, he's in the 230s, so he's primarily in the 220s. Against Dubois, we all remember that fight. He had Dubois down 3 times. in the first round, ultimately got stopped in round number 3. Never pushed the action after that. Wins over Marius Vac, Bogdan stopped him. Who doesn't stop Bogdan? Firat Arslan, who could tell you the dates of the pyramids to a T because he was around when they were built. That's how old he is. Sefa Safiri, Arthur Mann. You see where I'm going with this. Dimitri Kusher, he knocked out Enzo Macronelli in a round many years ago now. You see where I'm going with this. He's a tricky operator without being spectacular. Not a particularly big puncher or devastating puncher anyway, even though he's called the KO Kid. It's an interesting fight for Lawrence Okolie. This will tell us a little bit more about him at heavyweight. He did say he was probably a bit too heavy in that heavyweight debut. I don't think there's any probably about it. I think he probably were. But it's going to tell us a lot more about him this coming fight. I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued because I don't quite know what to expect with Lawrence Okolie at heavyweight. He's got very high rankings with the WBC. I think he's number 1 ranked by the WBC, which is the WBC in a nutshell, I guess, at the end of the day. But I like what I'm seeing in terms of his personality. We're seeing this personality that I wish we'd seen all those years ago. This real dry-witted humour. I like it from Lawrence Okolie. You know, bringing up the Madonna stuff with Richard Riakporhe. I mean, honestly, in fairness, like, he actually does deserve to get, you know, jokes said about that, because what the hell are you doing? Seriously. The girl's in her 60s, you're in your 30s. Like, what the F? Like, it's just mental, honestly. Just yeah, less said about that, the better. But I like the humour. I like the fact that he's calling out the likes of Dylan White. He's being humorous with that as well. Where was this 7-8 years ago? Where was this 7-8 years ago? I think we could have done something with this. It's going to be very interesting to see how he looks in there on Saturday night. He's been training with Joe Gallagher, or at least he did for his previous fight. I know he lives out in the Middle East now. I think he runs a restaurant out there as well. But it's really going to be interesting to see how he looks against Lorena. Will that power persist? I mean, Lorena's been dropped a couple of times, we know that, but, you know, he's awkward. He can move, he can, maybe has deceptive power. I mean, ask Daniel Dubois, he touched down 3 times in their respective fight, although I don't think he was necessarily that badly hurt with either of them. But this is a really good fight. And Lawrence Okolie is an interesting add to the heavyweight division, if nothing else. He has that power, he has that long gangly arms, still has tremendous power in the right hand, still could absolutely turn your lights out like that. We've seen him do it at Cruiserweight, we've seen him do it at Bridgerweight, and now we're seeing him do it at heavyweight. I think Lawrence Okolie is very live in this respective division, and I'm looking forward to seeing him in the co-main event at Wembley Stadium. I think he has fought at Wembley Stadium before, if I'm not very much mistaken. He did. Good Lord. That Matty Askin fight was at Wembley Stadium. Let's forget about that one. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. Lawrence Okolie, seeing him back, first time in a couple of months, and he's in there against a much liver opponent than he was in there with last. So this will tell us probably more about Okolie at heavyweight than, well, at all in his previous fight. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, people. As always, I hope you enjoyed the video. Smash the like button if you could. Hit subscribe, of course, as always, if you haven't already. And until next time, people, I'll leave it there.